sustainable gardening. It's got something up here. Okay. Anyway, sustainable gardening is being able to do the same thing every year, year after year, consistently. And I really struggled with this. I was one of those people that went out every May, first nice weekend, plant the garden, and then rain for the next 3 weeks. I go out there in June, plant it again, and rain for the next 3 weeks. Anyway, so I joined the Master Gardeners to learn how to garden out here.
I'm not hearing you back. Use your-
Right here. This one's in the pocket.
Get clicked on.
Okay, so I joined the Master Gardeners to learn how to garden out here, and I would like to give them a little plug here. It's one of the best time and money I spent that year, or for quite a few years. I learned so much. And you don't have to know everything going into the Master Gardeners. Everybody knows a little something about everything. And the resources they have there as far as looking stuff up is phenomenal. And you're giving back to the community. So. It's not working.
Got it.
You kind of have to do a hard push on it. Try clicking on this again. Let me go back. Oh, let's try it. There we go.
Okay, there we go. So the three things that I learned to be successful in gardening was, one, and this is the big one for me, was soil temperatures. That to me was everything. That changed everything I did in gardening. Next thing, if anybody remembers last spring, controlling the moisture. I think it rained right up through July. But anyway, if you're able to control the moisture, that's another successful thing you do. And think about feeding what you're growing. That's composting is really important. Okay, there's a handout over there on soil temperatures for germination. This turned it right around for me. You don't plant everything all at once. There's different soil temperatures for germination. This gives you the optimal temperature. It's actually a range. And if you're doing something like succession planting, this is really going to help you out. And I learned last week from Erica's talk that cover crops depend on soil temperatures. And I'm doing a little research on that. They're not all the same. So soil thermometers. I spent, it was $10 at the time. They're probably up around $15 now. But using these, it made me a successful gardener. And I learned that from the Master Garden program. You want to get two at least, because one will lie to you. You just can't trust one. You don't know if it's telling you the truth. So I even use this on my compost, because that's how I learned how to compost, knowing when to add things, when to turn it over. If you don't know what's going on temperature wise, you don't know. Okay, we're going to talk about controlling moisture. This is really big too. I come up with these hoop houses, and they're real cheap to make. I used what I had handy to make, and it made a pretty big difference. I used a 1/2-inch water line and some field fencing, and put it all together. And I bought the plastic at Home Depot, 6 mil plastic. One of the things that you gotta do on the hoop house, at least I gotta do, is you gotta put set screws in where you put the water line, because I'm forever grabbing these things and throwing them off. It really helped them last longer. Mine, I've been going for like 15 years now. And again, cut everything together, make it one piece. They last a long time. And this is what they look like when they're all built. And the important thing here is make sure you got ventilation. Both ends got to be open. My beds are all laid out north to south because our wind comes from the south most all of the year. So I laid my beds out that way so I get good ventilation. Ventilation, if you don't have good ventilation, everything's going to mold on you. My wife Mary, she came up with the idea of putting hinges on. Easy thing to do. Works really good, and it saves a lot of wear and tear on. And then this is another one of her ideas is be able to hold it open. It's amazing. Anyway, she opened it up and she worked in there for hours. You're not throwing it around, moving it around. They last a long time. I even use these on my compost beds because part of composting is controlling moisture. By controlling the moisture, you're also helping it heat up and do what it's supposed to do. There is a downside to using hoop houses, and I've learned that the hard way. You'll have pests that overwinter. They live in there really, really good. So the following year, you got twice as many. So what I do is in the wintertime, when I know there's a frost coming, I'll take the hoop house off, turn everything over. I do any amendment to my soil that I'm going to do, and let it go ahead and freeze. And then after the freeze goes, I'll put it back on there, and I've been successful with that strategy. So cold frames, this is something I learned through Master Gardeners. Again, we're still controlling the moisture. With this here, I'm incorporating a few things. Got my hinges on, like my wife suggested. I'm controlling the moisture. And I use this more than anything as far as my gardening, because I'll take things that got to go through the winter, put them in there. You know, if I need a little bit of moisture, I'll just open them up. I use glass here, but you don't have to. You can use plastic or anything. This, when they do break, they go into a million pieces, just so you know. Guess I learned that one. Okay, this is a warm frame, and again, this is something I learned from working in the greenhouse at the Master Gardeners. Was they used heat tape for pipes, and they had sand, and it worked really well. Well, I tried it, and it kept the soil up around 90 degrees, which didn't work for me at all. So I got these rope lights, and I got them at Walmart right after Christmas, half price. And I put them in there, and it holds the soil about 70 degrees, which is ideal. I mean, if you want to grow year round, this is it right here. Somebody was telling me last week, the new ones, I think they're LEDs, they don't heat up. So pay attention to that, because it doesn't do any good to buy them if they don't heat up the soil. But yeah, you're going to find that if you have an interest in growing year round, this is going to work for you. It was so successful. I was growing lettuce. I wanted lettuce year round. I had to double the bed. It grew and grew and grew. Works really, really well. Come to find out, I don't eat salad in the winter. Go figure. But it's good for other things. I mean, you can put stuff in there, and they will grow. Let's talk about what to grow. Okay, when I started off, I grew herbs. And the reason why I started with herbs is it's one of those sustainable things, because you can grow them year round. You can use them fresh in the summertime. and everybody should have a dehydrator. If you have, you dehydrate them and use them all winter long. And most people I know that have herbs, they're so old in their cupboards that they got Roman numerals on them for pull dates. So no, it works really good. And the other thing is, I was able to move them around to find out where things grew good in my yard. I got 8.5 acres and I had to figure that one out too. Another thing is a lot of vegetables. I'm a stew and soup guy. So I grow a lot of carrots, potatoes, stuff like that. But if you're doing succession planting, the soil temperatures, again, you'll know when to plant what. And then if you look at the seed packages, they have early, main, and late. And this is especially true in carrots. I could never get carrots going early enough. And once I figured out there was different types of carrots for different seasons, made a big difference. This is, again, controlling moisture. This is my first greenhouse. I put it up and grew year round in this. And a little funny story about this. My wife wrote into, what was the name of that? Mother Earth News. And anyway, they said if they feature it, they pay her $150. Well, they featured it, and she got her $150. But they called us and said, mind if we give out your email address? And we said, no, go ahead, because they'll get a lot of calls on it, or a lot of email questions. So for the next 2 years and hundreds of emails later, at $150, love it. Anyway, on this here, one of the things I did was I had one bed that was warm and one that was cold. And it worked really good for a lot of years. And then we got a freak snowstorm. We got like a foot of snow, down it came. So built another one. And give you an idea about what worked for me as far as a greenhouse goes. I used old stuff that I had laying around, and I made it 13 feet long, roughly, 7 feet wide, 13 feet long, roughly. And I used this to control the height of it, because you got to make it so that you put a center beam in there in case it snows again in the great Northwest here. But anyway, I use hog panels, and these work really good. I use these on everything. Amelia, she uses it in her community garden out there in Shorecrest for growing beans and stuff. Everything just hangs down, but these things are so handy. To give you an idea how old this is, I bought them at Dell's. Dell's ain't even here anymore. But yeah, you can use them, and I use 3 of them, and they're very strong. Put them together. Again, I tied things together on them just to make it one unit, basically. And then the other thing that I did was I took, this is pipe insulation for you put it on water lines that are outside. And the reason why I use these is where the plastic comes around the corner there, they'll rip. This saved it. I ran this greenhouse for years and years, still running. And you don't have to use pipe insulation. You can use anything. I'm building a second one now, story behind that. But you can even use those drip irrigation hoses. Just zip tie them on there, drape the plastic over, just something to keep the plastic off the metal. I went ahead and gave a lens on this, and I know what everybody's going to say, your door's upside down. I know, I did it that way because I'm always carrying things in and out, and I wanted the handle higher. You know what, nobody sees my upside down door, and it's easy for me to get in and out, you know, whatever works for me. Okay, again, we're back to the air circulation. hot air rises, so in the gable end, I put this fan in there, blow all the hot air out, really makes a difference. You'd be surprised. In May, I get temperatures of like 115 in here. It's just that warm. And you gotta control the temperature. I put it on the gable end. And my upside down door, one of the things I learned on that is I got a screen door on top of it, because you gotta keep that door open. And when it gets warm, you wanna keep the bugs out and everything else. Get some kind of screen door. They had some magic ones that just have magnets on them, so you can move it in and out. Here's the center beam. This is real important for me anyway, because what was it, a couple of years ago, we got 2 feet of snow here. I moved out here to get away from snow. Yeah, good call, right? Anyway, that center beam, no problem at all. My next door neighbor had a $15,000 greenhouse, 100 feet long. Guess what happened? My $300 one. Loved it. Okay, again, there's the center beam. That's how I tied it in. Those are called hurricane straps right there. You just screw them in, you put your beam right in there, and you're good to go. And again, this is the reason why I adjusted the height on those hull panels, is so I wouldn't be bumping my head on this. The benches, I just do a real simple A-frame on that. And one of the things that you want to pay attention to is the height of them, because depending on your height, where you're comfortable working, you're going to be out there a long time. You want to get that height just right. And I got that height just right for me. And once I got everything all set up, I got evicted. My wife kicked me out of it. I took it over, she did. And she complained about the height of the benches. But anyway, on this here, one of the things that I found out was we put everything on these grates here. You don't want, if you're using heat mats or anything else, you don't want your plants coming in direct contact with that heat. So it helped for the watering, and you actually get a little bit of air circulation in there. But yeah, I am now, when I built this one, I built it 350 feet away from the house. Peace and quiet, leave me alone, let me go out there and do my thing. Now, 10 years later, she wants one up by the house because that's too far to walk. I get my old one back. Okay, feeding your soil. I assume everybody does composting. I had to learn about that also. There's many different things, but like everything, I started real small in the kitchen, and we got a little bigger, of course, and I got a little bigger, of course, and now I got a pile. So this works really good. One feeds the other, and what's nice about this is I used to test my soil, and now I got my soil up. The only thing I have to do is test my compost pile, because that's what I'm feeding my beds. Anyway, happy gardening. I do, there was something missing on this, but I test my soil. I go through Mason Conservation District. I don't know why that didn't come up on here. It did?
Yeah.
Okay, I missed it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go back to it because it is kind of
Go forward.
forward.
Right there.
No, I thought I had a slide of back there on the table. There's our test results from your soil tests, and if you don't know what you're starting with, you can't. You don't know what to add to it. One of the things I wanted to talk about with that was in my beds, if I had trouble, like I just had trouble with carrots. Couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. I'll plant corn in there. The reason why I plant corn in there is because it's a heavy feeder, it reacts really quickly to whatever you put in your soil. So to figure out what's wrong with it, I look at the corn, I'll add something, and all of a sudden, boom, got to change, you know what you got to add. What you lose around here mostly is salt and calcium because of the rain. And I used to throw rock salt in there, but I grow my own clams and oysters. So when I come home with a bucket, I pour that salt water on the compost. Works really, really well. So anyway, I have a little bit of time. Right? Okay, my friends Bonnie and Colin, this is another idea on gardening. They built new beds, and what they did was they built them up, and they used this metal, which helps with their soil temperatures, and they built them up high, so they don't have to bend over. They're older, and I think this is the direction I'm going to be heading in right here, because bending over is getting a little bit difficult. And Colin built in, he's the king of drip irrigation. And again, you can see the mulching right there. That's really good for the soil and everything else. They rake their leaves, just put them on there, and it helps keep down on the weeds in the wintertime. And that's it.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So if you go back to that last slide,
Okay.
so he has the pipe, and then those are different
Yep.
areas what you would take the drip irrigation out through.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's why I was over there last weekend, and this is fantastic. They were both master gardeners, I believe, and I learned so much from him, especially I worked with him in the greenhouse, and that's why I learned so much stuff. Let's see, anything else? Yes.
How did you decide what size fan to use? You had.
Oh,
measurements
yeah,
up there
I can go
and
back to
I
that
missed
even.
Could you repeat the
Terry,
question?
yeah.
Oh,
Just
she
first.
wanted to know how big of a fan, how I figured out how big of a fan to use. And there was an actual equation for that. I think that's it. Oh, it doesn't show it on here, but it's,
It did.
one more.
Go further back.
You guys know this better than I do.
There you go.
Okay, it's length times width times height times 1.5. But for me, use whatever you got, just get that air circulating. So anyway, questions? Questions, anyone? Nope.
Are there any questions in the chat? Okay. Well, thank you.
All right, thank you.